Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I'd start a new reading vlog, and this one is a bit of an experiment because in this one I want to try and read novellas. Now, I'm not a very big novella reader. I usually want to, get my money's worth, and it seems like a book that is like barely 100 pages it's just not enough for me. But last year I have tried a couple of shorter books and novellas, and I have really enjoyed some of them. So I thought I'm just gonna take the opportunity to read some novellas that I have had my eye on for a while now. I chose 3 to start off with, and we'll see how I like them. The first one is gonna be Even Though I Knew the End by C.L. Polk. This is a sapphic novella that is fantasy, so it should be right up my alley, and I've heard really good things. And then we have 2 classics. We have Empress of Salt and Fortune, I think, by Nghi, which this is a trilogy, and I will read the first one for now, I think, and then see how I like it. So that one I'm a bit scared, but I love Nghi's writing, so I want to give it a try. And then we have A Dead Djinn in Cairo by Djèlí Clark, and this one also is the beginning of a series. I've been eyeing that one for such a long time because it sounds fantastic. It has this like Arab backdrop of Cairo, but I think it has fantasy and horror elements, so I'm really ready. And yeah, these are the 3 ones I'm gonna try, and I think I will update you at the halfway point and when I'm done, even though that is like very short in a novella. But I always feel like the first half I'm confusion, and then the second half I'm amazed, so we'll see whether that's true, and I'll update you as soon as I have read the first half of Even Though I Knew the End. So I am currently halfway through Even Though I Knew the End, and this is definitely a very interesting story. I'm enjoying it a lot so far. The beginning was a little bit confusing because we are right there in the action, and as a reader you just have to figure out where you are right now. But now halfway through I'm definitely hooked, and this book isn't so long, so it doesn't take a very long time for you to get your bearings, I guess. In this story we are following a woman who has kind of sold her soul basically, and she has only a couple more days to live because then her soul will be collected. We also learn why she decided to do that and what the repercussions of that were, but basically she is now kind of a bounty hunter person, or like a private detective person, and she is hired to look into a serial killer who is known as the something something vampire, like the Chicago vampire, I don't know. I'm bad with like stuff like that when I listen to the audiobooks. But basically this serial killer is taking people, and it's not really quite sure why he's doing it or what the like actual backstory of that is. And so she is trying to figure that out, and that's the kind of journey we go on with our main character. And as I said, this book is sapphic, so she's in a relationship with another woman, and it is an established relationship, so we see them together quite a bit. We see their hopes and their fears and kind of like the future that they would like to have, but obviously our main character knows that her future is only a couple more days. And yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It has these like kind of noir vibes. It is also set in like the 40s or 50s, so after the Second World War, I think, but it has magic obviously, so it's not just historical. And yeah, I'm just very intrigued. I love the vibe, I love the main character. I think it's very easy to see where she's coming from. And yeah, we get some of those like relationships that are very intriguing as well. So I'm really enjoying it, and I'll update you when I'm finished with the book. So I finished Even Though I Knew the End, and I wanted to let you know how it went. In the end, I really enjoyed this audiobook a lot. I had a lot of fun with this story. I think that I read a Goodreads review and someone compared it to, I don't know, like a mixture of like Hell's Library and the 5th season of Supernatural or something like that. That's pretty much what it felt like. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed this, and I think for the short amount of time that we spend with these characters, it actually does quite a lot. I ended up giving it 4 stars. It wasn't a life-changing read for me, but I really had so much fun, and I would recommend the story if you're at least a little bit interested in it. I think that the ending is definitely action-packed, and it holds some like very tragic moments as well. So if you like feel for these characters, you will definitely feel something during the ending of the book. And I really loved how it ends with the title of the book, and that was very clever. I think I really enjoyed that as well. I do like a good like ending line, and that way you also understand why the book is called what it is called. So I think the writing was really good. The characters were great, very engaging. The plot was interesting, even though I would say, especially with these like very short books, that the plot is usually something that I would like to see more developed, but on the other hand, it comes to a satisfying conclusion, and that's really all that I care about. So yeah, it was great. It was a really good book, and I would recommend it. This is also one where I don't necessarily would say that I needed it to be longer, maybe to make the plot a little bit more intricate, but apart from that, I think it worked really well with the length of the novella. I don't know if I should go into spoilers, maybe a little bit. So if you have not read the book, just jump over the next little bit and I will talk about the next novella that I read. But yeah, in this book we have a lot of like demon and angel talk, and I thought it was such a clever move to make the culprit actually an angel and not a demon. So the demons play a very small part in this book after all, even though from the beginning it seems like they're kind of to blame. I really like the kind of lore about it, that the angels are trying to get back into heaven because they were kind of like watching the humans and then refused to let them go, basically. And so I really liked that the kind of main angel, I am really bad with the names unfortunately, but the one who was in the love interest, that this angel actually ended up in heaven, and we do learn about that. So it was great to see that, yeah, in their like logic with the faith and everything, it worked out and this angel actually got to heaven. I really like the kind of like family dynamics. I really like that we get to see quite a lot of the brother of the main character, who the main character has brought back to life after an accident. And so this is very, yeah, just a very hard kind of dynamic, because obviously what she did was because of love. She really loved her brother and couldn't imagine a life without him. On the other hand, so it is very selfish because the brother was in heaven with their parents, so he didn't really need to go back, basically. So he is back for her in a way. And I think that could have been explored a little bit more, just like the intricacy of that dynamic. I think we get hinted at it, but yeah, I would have liked it to be explored more, how on the one hand you can see it is because of love, but on the other hand it's a very selfish thing to do. And especially since we see the repeat of that at the end of the book, where the main character brings back her girlfriend because of the same reasons. Like, she can't imagine a life without that person by her side, so she rather chooses to live 10 more years with that person than to have her life and maybe even go to heaven afterwards. So I wish that would have been discussed a little bit more. I think she got away with a lot at the end. Like, if I had been in heaven and someone would pull me back down here, I would be mad. And I think, yeah, I don't know. I definitely would be mad. But yeah, I still really enjoyed it. I think I would have liked for the main character to learn something from it. And I think it is not the healthiest message, especially since it is never challenged that the main character did everything for that other person. So first for a brother and then for a love. But yeah, I think the selfishness is not kind of discussed in a way that I would have hoped. So it looks on the whole situation a little bit too kindly, in my opinion. But apart from that, as I said, I think it was really engaging. I really loved the whole like angel thing, and it was really quite dramatic. I also loved the demon that we got to see, and it is a little bit sad we only got like these small glimpses because, yeah, the demon was immaculate. So yeah, I had so much fun with this, and I'm very excited to get to the next novella. Not quite sure which one it will be, but I'll let you know as soon as I'm halfway through with that. So I'm currently halfway through my audiobook, The Empress of Salt and Fortune, and I definitely understand all of the reviews that say that this book is very beautiful but quite confusing because it has this like a very interesting tone that I definitely very much enjoy, but that makes it kind of hard to follow the story. But basically, we have a cleric called Nghi, and they travel to a palace where an empress has just passed away, and they are there to kind of collect the like knowledge and the tales about that empress. And so they meet an old woman there who's called Rabbit, and Rabbit knew the empress when they were both very young. And so yeah, Rabbit basically tells Nghi stories about the empress, but they're like quite fragmented, and there is a lot of things that are just hinted at. It just feels very magical and just like a kind of like a folk tale, but because you have that layered like storytelling, because Rabbit is telling the story, but we are hearing the story through Nghi's understanding of Rabbit's story. It is just kind of difficult to follow in a way, but that doesn't hinder the enjoyment, and that is a very, very interesting experience. So yeah, I'm having a lot of fun. It's also such a short book, like it's only 2.5 hours, so right now I'm a little bit more than an hour in, and I have a little bit more than an hour left. So yeah, I feel like this is a very, very interesting reading experience, and I don't think I have something that I can compare this to really. So yeah, we'll see whether a couple of the like plot things will become a bit clearer. It's also queer. The Empress had I don't want to say a sex scene because we're so far removed from it, but it is pretty obvious that the Empress had sex with another female person. So we have that kind of like sapphic representation, even though there are no like exact labels mentioned so far. So yeah, it's very, very beautiful, and I'm intrigued to hear the rest of it. So I wanted to give you my update on The Empress of Salt and Fortune. I have finished this book quite a while ago now, but I just didn't get around to filming the update, unfortunately. So you have to bear with me right now. I'm very sorry, but I really, really enjoyed the book. I decided to give it 4.5 stars because I thought it was really lovely. I think that Nghi is a writer that really works for me. Yeah. So far I have not been disappointed at all, and I will definitely continue on with this series as well because yeah, it's just so magical and wonderful, and I want more of it. So that is definitely what I was hoping for when I started the book, so I'm very happy about that. I think the way that we get this story told just has this like very fairy tale-esque feeling, which I really appreciated, but it still deals with a lot of like sad and heavy topics, and I think especially coming to the end and some of the revelations that we get there, that is very prominent. There is definitely sadness in the story, and I think that is what makes it also so beautiful, because you have that like melancholy undertone, but at the same time it is about female strength and the way that women don't give up and just keep fighting for their lives and their rights and the ones they love. So I think that was just very, very beautiful, and just the whole like feeling of it, the idea of this cleric going around and collecting these stories, and yeah, it was just really beautiful. So yeah, I loved the kind of idea of this book. I loved the messaging. I loved the characters that we got to see. I think that our like kind of narrator, Rabbit, who is telling the story, is such an interesting character, and having her as an older woman telling the story, but then also seeing how she behaved when she was a young girl, and her like fierce protection of this empress. It was just really lovely. And so yeah, I really, really love this story. I can't speak of it highly enough. And yeah, I'm so excited to continue on with the series now. Okay, I really need to film this update, but I'm also really in a rush, so I'm gonna keep it short and sweet as this book is. But I am halfway through a Djinn in Cairo, and I'm really, really enjoying it so far. I have a great time with this book. I think the vibes are immaculate. The only thing is that I'm already halfway through, and I wish that would not be the case, because I want to get to know our main character so much better. She's this like badass inspector detective kind of person, and I really want to know all about her. And we don't really get like a backstory. We get some glimpses that her father was a clockmaker, and this definitely has these like, what is it called, steampunk vibes with the machines that, for example, the angels kind of reside in. We also have ghouls, so we have like kind of necromancy aspects to the story. There is a huge mystery part to it, and I think there's so much in it that I just wish this was a full-length novel. I don't want it to end. It also is reminiscent of Even Though I Knew the End, even though obviously they were published in the other order, like I read them from newest to oldest, so it's kind of, you know what I'm trying to say here. We have the more demonic forces, we have the more angelic forces, obviously a different terminology, but I'm really, really enjoying that. That's something I do enjoy reading about, especially if it is not like Christianity focused in the mythology. Really love that. So overall, just really enjoyed this book so far. I'm very intrigued to read more, but as I said, it's so super short, so I already know that I will be craving to read more from this world. And the reason why I started this is because I know that there is more. So there is another short story, another longer novella, and then a full-length novel following, I think, the main character. So I'm ready for that. I'm ready to dive into that world. And so I think I'm fine with it being so short just because I know there will be more. But if that would be all, I would already be disappointed, I think. So yeah, I will talk more about this when I have finished the book. So last night I finished a Djinn in Cairo, and I wanted to give you a quick final update of this vlog. I really enjoyed this book. I think it is funny that I went from the longest book to the shortest book, and yeah, this one was really cool. I already talked about it a little bit, and I don't really have like a lot of things to add to this. I listened to the whole second half just yesterday, so yeah, I basically flew through it, and it was very fun. I love the main character. We also get another character towards the end of this book that I'm very intrigued by, and I really hope that this character shows up in the later stories of the series as well, because there is quite a good chemistry between these two characters, and there could even be a little bit of a sapphic vibe to the story. So that would be very fun. But yeah, the like whole solution at the end, I think it was quite easy to see, like when the character is introduced that is like the main culprit. I think it is very easy to see that this is the person, especially since the story is so short, so you don't really have like a huge cast to guess from. Still, I like the way it was portrayed. I don't know, it had like more of this like adventure vibe, and not so much the like, oh, like this is difficult, like who could it be kind of who done it vibe. So yeah, I had fun with that. I can't wait to get into more from this world, and I think that's what the story is mainly trying to do, like give you a good time and make you excited to read more from these characters, from this world, and it definitely worked for me. So I decided to give this story 4 stars, and yeah, that concludes this vlog. I honestly still have to film the update for Empress of Salt and Fortune, but you will not realize that. You will see that in the right order. But yeah, to conclude, I read 3 fantasy novellas, which is something very new to me. I haven't really been doing that a lot, especially not novellas that are not part of a series that I've already read and am familiar with. So this was a fun experiment. They have been like very different length. So even though I knew the end was the longest one, that was like over 4 hours, I think, like almost 5 hours maybe. And then Djinn and Cairo has been the shortest one, with not being even 2 hours long. So I definitely prefer the slightly longer ones. Like I think 4 hours is a good time for me. The other ones were good as well, but I wouldn't have minded if they would have been a little bit longer, I guess. So my favorite one of the bunch was The Empress of Salt and Fortune, just because the themes spoke to me the most, and I just thought it was written in such a beautiful way, which was no surprise at all because I have read Nghi before, so I expected to really love that one, and it worked out that well too. It worked out that way too. So that one I gave 4.5 stars, and the other 2 I gave 4 stars. I think if we rank them, I liked, even though I knew the end a little bit better, so that would be on 2nd place, just because it was more fleshed out. And then I think Djinn and Cairo would be in 3rd place, just because it was the shortest and I felt like I got the least amount of like material, but it was just a great setup to this series, to this world. And so I did overall enjoy all of them, and I'm so glad I finally tried this. I still have a little bit of an issue with spending a lot of money on these novellas, because I feel like they're just such a short little snack, and I definitely don't mind spending money on the like 4 or 5 hour long ones, but like when it's really just an hour and a half, I don't know, like I paid €1.70 for Djinn and Cairo, and I think that is completely fine, but like paying a full price, I would not do that, to be honest. But yeah, this was a really fun experiment. I hope you had fun joining me on this. Let me know how you feel about fantasy novellas. Are you satisfied with them, or do you wish to get more from them? I would love to hear about that, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye!